The St. Kitts Tourism Authority participated in the recently concluded Caribbean Travel Forum, an event of the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association that focused on issues such as intra-Caribbean travel, multi-destination marketing, technology, and sustainability. Elson Tommy Thompson, the Chief Executive Officer of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, attended the forum. While there, he spoke with London-based Breaking Travel News, commenting on the destination's interactions with travel professionals in the source markets.
Well, to the travel professionals, we don't want you to mix us up with the other saints, all right? So it's St. Kitts and Nevis, and in order for us to help the travel trade globally, our salespeople in the North America and also in Caribbean and also in the UK, we do seminars, webinars. We've got salespersons to go out and visit the travel agents. Out of the UK, we're doing 40 persons. This is the 40th year of anniversary of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we're bringing 40 travel advisors into St. Kitts and Nevis during the year. So we're making sure that we are getting the travel advisors involved in selling the destination. We also have the opportunity where we give the $200 bonus to travel agents who book St. Kitts and Nevis. And they are getting that $200 once their passengers complete travel to the destination. So it's not just for the booking, it's for a completed visit to the destination. And for those who want to log on to our travel trade program, you can go on to visitstkitts.com and register to join our rewards program.
Thompson also highlighted the island's upcoming Summer of Fun, which is being promoted as a period ideal for visitors at this time of the year. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
The government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, is thanking the government and the people of St. Kitts and Nevis for their support in calling for Taiwan to be included in international organizations. I'm Andre Huey, and we're in the final furlong of our trip here in Taipei, Taiwan, international press group, which I'm a part of. I've been here for the past few days covering economic and political developments here in Taiwan. And one of the questions I asked the various government officials that we spoke to is how important, how significant was St. Kitts and Nevis' support of Taiwan as it relates to in calling for its inclusion in international organizations. As you are aware, St. Kitts and Nevis would have adopted a resolution in the National Assembly recently. This was done unanimously, where all the parliamentarians voiced their support for Taiwan to be included in international organizations. One of the persons who expressing gratitude here in Taiwan, in the Taiwanese government, is the Minister of Health, Zhong Yang She, who, while speaking to reporters through an interpreter on Friday, made it very clear that they are grateful to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis for their support to Taiwan.
First of all, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to your esteemed nations St. Christopher and Nevis for speaking on Taiwan's behalf on various international occasions. Also, I'd like to thank our diplomatic allies and friendly countries for advocating for Taiwan in the United Nations or even in the WHO. All these support is critically important, and we are deeply grateful, and we look forward to your continuous support.
Now, of course, Taiwan not being included in international organizations stems from the One China policy. Now, this policy is a principle that recognizes the People's Republic of China, PRC, which is based in mainland China, as the only country, or rather the one China, and that Taiwan is actually a province of China. Of course, Taiwan sees itself as an autonomous state and wants to be included in international organizations. Now, this goes all the way back to World War II. And most of the countries in the international community recognizes the One China policy, and as such does not recognize Taiwan as a sovereign state, hence why Taiwan is not included in a lot of these international organizations. Now, Taiwan has been making the case that they have a lot to give to the international community, especially in the area of health, because of the advances that Taiwan has made in the development of healthcare in Taiwan, and not only in Taiwan, but also assistance that Taiwan provides to other countries, especially its allies. This point, the health minister made very clear during his engagement with the press, and again, he spoke through an interpreter.
So Taiwan has been a good friend to the world. As you can see from the video that we just played, this has demonstrated that Taiwan has done its very best to promote greater cooperation to help other countries as well as the people in need. And we have always tried to advocate and provide our support in terms of international medical cooperation and aid programs when it comes to the professional medical momentum as well as the training for international talent and the donation of medical supplies to other countries. Taiwan has tried its best to become a responsible stakeholder in the international community.
Now, the World Health Assembly is coming up later this month, of course, where members of the World Health Organization will be in attendance. And Taiwan is making a case that it would like to attend. In fact, they have said very clearly, the minister did indicate when asked about this, that he will be attending the WHA, but he has not been given, Taiwan has not been officially invited, not even as an observer in an observer capacity. They have just been not invited, at least up to news time when we got this information. But they said that they are prepared to attend, and hopefully they'll be given the opportunity to participate. One of the points also the health minister pointed out is that, made very clear, is that being a part of the international organizations such as the World Health Organization would give them the opportunity to receive information that will be very crucial in the fight against infectious diseases affecting the world. Supporting the health minister, of course, is the foreign affairs minister, Mr. Joseph Wu, who also voiced his support and thanks to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and the government of St. Kitts and Nevis for supporting Taiwan.
The National Assembly has been passing resolutions or adopted joint call for Taiwan's inclusion in major international fora like the WHO, Interpol, UNFCCC, ICAO, and etc. And those kinds of calls are needed by Taiwan. If you look at the current difficulties of Taiwan's international participation, we have been excluded from most of the major international organizations. And it has been very difficult for Taiwan to try and participate in those international organizations. Of course, the source of the problem was China's attempt to exclude Taiwan from international organization. And therefore, for anyone, for any country, to have its voice heard in those international organizations are being very critical for Taiwan. And St. Kitts and Nevis, along with other diplomatic allies of Taiwan, have been very vocal and very forceful in calling for Taiwan's inclusion in the major international organizations. And that kind of advocacy has been highly appreciated by the Taiwanese people. And therefore, the role played by St. Kitts and Nevis in Taiwan's participation in international organizations is very critical. And we appreciate the effort of St. Kitts and Nevis.
So basically, we're on the final furlong of our trip. We were here for about a week or a little less than a week, where we visited a number of agencies. Here in Skn Newsline, we'll provide you more information. We have a lot more stories to tell from Taiwan, and we'll be doing that in the ensuing days, even after I would have returned to St. Kitts and Nevis. Coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan, for Skn Newsline, I'm Andre Healy.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
Want to buy some fresh fruits, vegetables, or ground provision, but don't have the time to go to the market or even to find parking? Look no further. Green Market and Delivery is your solution. Green Market and Delivery is an e-commerce store that sells and delivers local produce to customers in St. Kitts and Nevis. Anything you purchase, you can get fresh from the market and delivered directly to your door. Log on to www.greenmarketskn.com. Click on the e-store link, choose your items, and shop away. We have a wide array of products from fruits, vegetables, local products, spices and seasonings, and much more. Save time and energy. Shop on greenmarketskn.com, your one-stop shop for fresh local produce.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
The Skn Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
Mr. Victor J. Martin has been named as the featured speaker for the Nevis Reformation Party NRP convention slated for Sunday, May 21st. According to a press release from the NRP, Mr. Martin, a former parliamentarian who served in the Nevis Island Assembly for 18 years from 1983 to 2001 as the NRP representative for Nevis 1, St. Paul's, will address delegates, members and friends of the party under the theme NRP at 53, focused, resilient and progressive. The public is invited to the convention's public session, which begins at 5 p.m. at the occasion's entertainment center. In addition to the featured speaker, there will be remarks by the party leader, fraternal greetings from other political parties, and messages from NRP supporters in the diaspora. Past NRP leaders and parliamentarians, the constituency branches, youth arm, and women's arm will also be represented at the convention. The delegates will elect a new National Executive Committee and conduct other pertinent party business prior to the public session at Sunday's convention. Persons are encouraged to watch the convention on the Facebook page and YouTube channel of the Nevis Reformation Party. I'm Andre Huey for Skn Newsline.
Several political administrations on St. Kitts have postured the view that the performing arts is important in the development of the people and for supporting a diversified economy. Some had promised the construction of a performing arts center, but after several decades there is nothing to be seen. In a recent roundtable media engagement, Prime Minister Dr. Drew again affirmed that the months-old Labour Party-led St. Kitts and Nevis government is paying attention to the development of the so-called orange economy, inclusive of the center.
I asked the Minister of the Creative Economy to travel because we need to bring back a performing arts center. But a matter of fact, in Skipper right now is a project for performing arts center. I said it because you have asked it, and I would have left it for the minister to speak about. But I answered you today because you are right. You keep asking about it. Yes, we already have the plans, the land and the plans, the actual plans, and outlay. And I'm sure we can have a 3D depiction of it as well. We are going to pursue a performing arts center. And just to let you know, when it comes to the arts, in terms of museums and so forth, we are now pursuing the Bracho Museum. We are going to develop further the Monumental Park in St. Paul's. We are going to do France, our other national hero, his home in the village. We are also going to pursue, later in this term, the sugar factory as a museum.
Some performing artists have expressed the hope that tangible development will come from the most recent promises. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
Want to buy some fresh fruits, vegetables, or ground provision, but don't have the time to go to the market or even to find parking? Look no further. Green Market and Delivery is your solution. Green Market and Delivery is an e-commerce store that sells and delivers local produce to customers in St. Kitts and Nevis. Anything you purchase, you can get fresh from the market and delivered directly to your door. Log on to www.greenmarketskn.com. Click on the e-store link, choose your items, and shop away. We have a wide array of products from fruits, vegetables, local products, spices and seasonings, and much more. Save time and energy. Shop on greenmarketskn.com, your one-stop shop for fresh local produce.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
The Skn Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
The government of Antigua and Barbuda saved the carrier from the brink of liquidation by placing it under administration. Since then, a court-appointed administrator, Cleveland Seaforth, has been piloting the operation. The focus now is on LIAT 2020 and ensuring it can meet the region's transportation needs. That's where a prospective partnership with Nigeria's Airpeace comes in.
So what we're moving now is to establish the AOC. Right. The operating certificate for LIAT 2020, and to have this partnership with Airpeace, in which Airpeace will emerge as a 70% shareholder in the new LIAT.
The carrier is now operating with 2 aircraft and with a smaller footprint of routes, but that is set to change once the new arrangement is concretized.
They will bring some assets, and we will also acquire some assets as well, and hopefully We could have maybe 5-6 aircraft operating within the region under the name Liat. We think that Liat is a strong brand. It's a regional brand which we believe should be maintained. And I'm hoping that we can make this a reality so that we can protect the existing jobs and even to create new jobs for those employees who are displaced, especially the pilots.
The Prime Minister said the primary intention was to have had a Liat owned by the regional governments, given how crucial regional transportation is. However, with that not having materialized, the Prime Minister says this is now the best route.
I know that there are many who would want to second guess that decision, but again, I don't know if there's any other viable option at this point. I mean, I would accept that regional governments would have indicated a willingness to invest in a regional airline, but in terms of having firm commitments, we're not at that stage, and we need to move. I mean, regional travel is a major issue.
The head of government explained how Liat's approach is likely to change under a private majority shareholder.
This airline will be run or operated strictly on a commercial basis. So it would not be a regional bus that will be operating on unprofitable routes. And if indeed it has to operate on profitable routes, then there has to be some MRG, some
minimum revenue guarantees.
So, we're looking forward to the eventual operationalization of this new Liat 2020, and we're committed to do all we can to ensure its viability and sustainability.
Every year in Cuba, from November to May, it's time to cut cane. Using harvesters built in Soviet times, the island's sugar industry is in decline. In the 1980s, it produced 8 million tons of sugar a year. Last year, it managed less than 500,000. But these workers now face more difficulties than ever before. This year, the cane is overgrown with weeds.
There's no herbicide and no fertilizer for the cane. You've got to feed the cane. If not, it doesn't grow well.
For this harvest, Cuba used 10 times less herbicide and fertilizer than 6 years ago. That's largely because in the last 6 years, unprecedented maximum pressure US sanctions have nearly bankrupted the island's economy. Sugar is part of Cuba's national identity. Cane was first brought to the island more than 500 years ago by the Spanish. Slaves were shipped here to cut it, and to transport cane to refineries, Cuba became the first country in Latin America to have railways. But scant cane deliveries mean this refinery, which was built to run continuously, is often shut down.
We've had to turn off the refinery quite a few times this last month because there's not enough fuel and things break when we turn it back on again.
And breakdowns are harder to handle when there's no cash.
Last year's harvest, 32 refineries were running. Now it's down to 23. There's not enough money for spare parts, and engineers here are now cannibalizing parts from out-of-use refineries to keep production going.
Cuba's national sugar company has indicated it's unlikely to hit this year's unambitious plan.
This is the first year that Cuba doesn't plan to export more sugar than it consumes.
This island, built on sugar, which once exported more than any other country, is heading for its worst harvest in more than a century. Ed Agustin, Al Jazeera, Cienfuegos, Cuba.
On Friday and fought local armed groups. Okay, let's go back to the conflict in Ukraine. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa says a group of African countries will send a peace mission to Ukraine and Russia as soon as possible. He said the countries include Senegal, Uganda and Egypt, as well as South Africa. Well, Ovegwe Egwegu is a geopolitics and security analyst. He's joining us from Ankara. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. How much are these African nations in a position to act as mediators for peace, given the rather turbulent history that many of them have seen?
Yes, of course. You know, African countries have been very concerned about the war in Ukraine. Last year, we did see President Macky Sall of Senegal, who was then the AU chairman, and Mustafaki Mohamad, who is the chair of the EU Commission, visited President Putin to discuss the situation in regards to Ukraine. And also, of course, President Zelensky had a video call with the AU as well. So since the war broke out, African countries have been very concerned. Even though the continent has been split, the AU in particular has been very active in trying to push for a political solution. So countries like South Africa, for instance, their position right from the get-go has always been that the resolutions that we've seen at the UNGA have not reflected enough commitment to a dialogue and a peace process. That is why they've abstained from all of the UNGA resolutions. It's about 6 of them that we've had so far. So I think this new initiative may also be, from South Africa's part, may also be motivated by recent reports that South Africa supplied weapons to Russia. You know, that is a very serious issue. It will then move South Africa from its official position of active non-alignment to being obviously aligned with Russia. So this would serve as a very good way to sort of change the narrative, change the conversation that is engulfing South Africa at the moment in regards to Russia and the Ukraine war.
Many of the countries, of course, on the African continent have been badly hit by the flow of grain supplies that have been coming not only from Ukraine but also from Russia as well, including also fertilizer supplies from Russia, restrictions on those too. How much of this is about trying to find a peaceful solution and how much of it is about protecting African nations' interests?
Well, I think the war has been devastating for countries all over the world, African countries included. We know, of course, the situation in Somalia was very critical at a point. And when we got grain supply to Somalia, it was such a relief for Somalia and all the other countries in the Horn of Africa that have had issues with regards to food security. However, I think it's also been blown out of proportion in the sense that not many countries are really dependent on Russia and Ukraine's supplies, but the cutoff of Russia and Ukraine's supplies increased global prices, and it is the price that has really been the issue. So with the African continent, yes, there's vulnerability to the supply shortages from Ukraine through the Black Sea and from Russia, and that, of course, is one of the motivation why African countries want the war to end. However, I think the broader fear is that we are the cusp, but even not in the middle of great power competition that is leading in very closely to war. And all that war will be very devastating for African countries because their own resilience, it's not as strong as other countries in other parts of the world. So I think if we consider these factors, we can see why African countries want to be very much actively engaged in the political process.
Egregor, we appreciate it. So thank you very much indeed for your time.
The FBI went too far.
To hear U.S. conservative media tell it, this report is a huge story.
Something of this nature takes down the entire organization.
A major bombshell. And former President Trump quickly took to social media claiming it was treason and the crime of the century. But experts close to the case say that in reality, it doesn't actually say any of that.
Here are some of the concerns that the Durham report raises were already flagged before. So my impression so far is that there isn't a whole lot new here that hasn't already been identified. But I don't think it's any kind of a win for Donald Trump or for his current campaign that he says it is.
John Durham, who was appointed by Trump officials, was critical of the FBI for an investigation based on unanalyzed and unsubstantiated intelligence. But he only brought 3 criminal cases against low-level people. 2 were acquitted, and 1 pled guilty to falsifying an email and did not serve any time in jail. But the investigation Durham was looking into, which turned into the probe by special counsel Robert Mueller, did see significant arrests. 8 top Trump officials found guilty of serious crimes.
So, of course, the big question is this going to impact Trump as he tries to win the presidency again? Probably not. He has just recently been found guilty of battering a woman and then defaming her, ordered to pay $5 million. He's facing 34 felony counts in Manhattan for his business dealings. He's under investigation in Atlanta for potential election interference. And there is another special counsel investigating whether or not he had a role in the January 6th insurrection and whether he stole reams of classified documents and then tried to hide them and not give them back to investigators. All that said, what Trump has done with every single one of these cases is he's used it to successfully fundraise. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
St. Peter's FC have registered their 5th consecutive win of the season in their last 6 matches after they edged Bath United 2-1 on Mother's Day in the SKNFA Premier League at the Warner Park. Taekwon Terrell was the hero for St. Peter's, scoring the team's 2 goals in the 9th and 52nd minutes. Bath's goal came from a defensive error. Devion Harvey of St. Peter's scored an own goal in the 32nd minute. The game was hotly contested in the end as Bath received 3 red cards, 2 of which were players. Trevor Dunrod received a red card for violent conduct in the 74th minute and Vibert Stephen in the 75th minute for insulting and abusive language. Bath's kit manager Lester Dorset received his marching orders in the 75th minute, also for insulting and abusive language. Coach Austin Deco Huggins of St. Peter's said he wasn't happy with the performance of his team, but was pleased with gaining the 3 points.
Well, I'm not quite happy with the performance of the team, but we managed to get the 3 points, which is most important. But I think we were a bit flat today. We were missing a few key players, but nevertheless, that's not an excuse for the performance. I think that we played too lackadaisical, and yeah, but sometimes that do happen. So we get 3 points nevertheless.
Coach Alex Claxton of Bath said he knew the match was going to be a tough one considering they defeated St. Peter's in round 1.
So we came here and we came with a purpose. We know that St. Peter's were going to come back at us, and we know it was going to be a well-fought game. There were some moments in the game that we didn't, do well and capitalize on, and I think, it was very unfortunate in terms of the way how the game turned out. But we bounced back from that.
That victory for St. Peter's has shot them up the table to 3rd place. Meanwhile, in the day's earlier match, Fastcast Saddlers and Newtown United ended in a 1-1 draw. The first goal coming from Newtown in the 78th minute through Sylvester Keynes, before Dequan Watley equalized in the 80th minute. Saddlers coach Samuel Phipps said his team failed to put away the chances they created.
A well-executed game, in my estimation. We had the chances early, we had the chances in the second half, but we failed to put them away. Newtown didn't have much chances. They got 1, and then we had to fight to pull back the game. That has been the script for a few games now in the league, and we can't wait until the opponent score for us to start playing. So unfortunately, we came out with a 1 point. I would have preferred the 3 points, but nonetheless, we got a point.
For Anthony Nets Isaac of Newtown, he said that the draw, the 6th of the season, is unacceptable.
Again, we came out with another draw. That's 6 draws for the season, which is unacceptable to us. Going, especially when we are ahead all the time.
The SKNFA hosted Fan Appreciation Day on Sunday, Mother's Day, giving free admission to both games, while also presenting gifts to the first 50 mothers who attended each match. Mothers of players of the teams that played, technical staff, and the SKNFA staff were also recognized. The Keon Football Club made a clean sweep of the youth football competitions, winning the Atiba Harris Under-15 and Keith Gums Youth Cup Under-17 competitions on Sunday evening at the SKNFA Technical Center. Saddlers United won the SKNFA Premier Youth Cup Under-13 the day before, also at the Technical Center, defeating St. Paul's United 1-0. Village Superstars was the finalist in both the Under-15 and Under-17 finals, but succumbed to Keon in both competitions. Keon defeated Village Superstars 1-0 in the Under-15 finals, which started at 4 p.m., while their Under-17 counterparts defeated Village 3-0. This is the first major competition being played at the SKNFA Technical Center, which is now lighted and able to host nighttime competitions and training exercises. This was something SKNFA Technical Director Lenny Taylor pointed out during the halftime of the Under-17 match.
Well, it's a wonderful occasion today. We're seeing 2
young team, very enthusiastic, in an environment where it's wonderful. It's the first games with the lights on, and we are quite happy that we're able to expand the program a little bit further and able to play matches under the light. So for the last 8 months, we were dying to get this opportunity, and it's a wonderful start with the young people.
Mr. Taylor previously pointed out the importance of these youth competitions to developing young footballers in St. Kitts and Nevis.
The purpose behind them is to try to get the players as early as we possibly can, to start to culture them with the modern football, which is necessary for them to play on a higher level. We also can see a total population of players within the different age categories, so that we can discover players that we don't know about, identify them, and bring them into the system of the National Team Development Program.
These competitions are a precursor to the various SKNFA youth leagues that will commence soon.
Welcome to the Skn Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Boone. Here is a look at the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. For a more detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.